All right, what's going on, Kevin? Longest minute of your life. Sorry for the delay. I don't even know why I have that where I have the countdown. I don't know. I guess maybe it's just let people roll in or whatever. Anyways, welcome. Great to see you as always. Yeah, 60 seconds Canadian. I think that's got to be at least 90 seconds American. Or is it the opposite way? I don't know. Anyways, welcome. Happy enjoying the baseball season. The World Series, anyways, tied 1-1. Another big game. I think that's going on tonight. Super pumped for that. But of course, today we're going to get into podcasting, everything podcasting. And I don't know what the title is. I think I put in like 14 things I learned after whatever, 9 months of podcasting. So that's what we're going to talk about. Just a few tips or, whatever for anybody out there that might want to do any kind of podcasting or what have you. I have the comments kind of working here. They're not styled because everything that I did to style the comments and like brand on brand for my stream are completely gone. I don't know what happened to them. So, and it's really annoying trying to come up with a standard. So anyways, I got to figure that out. But anyways, I just have some default stuff. So it's working. Anyways, all that being said, I look terrible. Is that from the, it's your avatar. I don't know. I just do what that, I just do what it is. I love the shades though. Rocking the shades. Okay. So let's get into, I think we can get into sharing the screen. All right. 14 things that I learned after 8 months of podcasting. Okay, that works. Okay. Oh my God. Number one, have an audio backup. So, all right. I've done 19 episodes now, and I've been fortunate that I haven't had any except for one have one audio channel fail. And my whole Rodecaster actually failed it too. You spend like $1,000 on a device you think it could record, but if your audio fails for whatever reason, a memory card goes bad or there's a corruption in the recording, if you don't have a backup, then that is gone. So for me, I'm lucky enough that I can do some video tricks and record after the fact to kind of save an episode, but losing that audio is like kind of the worst thing that can happen, because especially if you have guests, because you lose their whole time. So you either have to ask them to come again, which I've never done before, so I don't know how that would be. But if you can record and then have it on recording in a backup, like for me, I use a Rodecaster Pro. Would be easy enough for me to take a cable and connect it and route it to a camera, so it's recording in the camera as well, or I can record it on my computer, just using an audio, like a digital audio workstation. I could record it on there, or I can record it to another device as well too. Have an audio backup, or even have a lav mic. I have lav mics. Always have a backup, because you never know what can happen. 99 times out of 100, you're going to be fine, but that one time you're going to lose the audio, you want to be very, very careful with that. So a very big thing, a very big headache that happened to me not too long ago. Super, super important. Number two, take the time to prepare for every episode and every guest kind of ahead of time. So I've tried it all different ways, where I would just kind of go in and wing it and just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to have a conversation with somebody, which is really, really cool. I think that's maybe more of, like a Joe Rogan style or whatever. But the thing about doing an episode like that is, number one, people that do that right now, like Joe Rogan, they've been doing like that their whole lives. Either they're comedians, or they've been on TV, or they've done like thousands of episodes. So they're really good at just kind of keeping conversations going, or they have really interesting like celebrities and really good people that know how to tell stories as well too, so they can carry on a conversation. But for us mortal plebs, I think it's a pretty good idea to just plan ahead of time kind of how you want the show to go, and plan out what kind of questions you want to ask the guest, so that you're a little bit prepared. I think it's still really important to be in the moment. We're going to talk about this later, just to be in the moment and kind of let the conversation flow how it's going to flow. But it's a good idea to have your episodes prepared and kind of have an outline for what it is that you want to do. And that kind of helps you figure out your audience and think about your audience and matching what your audience wants with who you have on your show, and making sure you can kind of extract that value. So just prepare. It's a good time saver. Okay. This third point is, whatever you do, make your guests feel as comfortable as possible. If they're coming in like me, they're coming into your own house. Make sure your house is clean. Make sure your space is a comfortable space. Try to get cables out of the way. Don't have like a whole bunch of cables and don't make it look like you're going in somebody's weird looking basement with all just crazy cameras or whatever. Like make it a comfortable space. Ask them what kind of drinks they like. Have coffee, have tea ready, have some snacks ready. Just make them as comfortable as possible. And what that's going to do, it's going to make them tell other people about how great of an experience they had on your show. So just make them feel very comfortable, and you want them to speak positively of you after the fact, right? You don't want them to say like, oh, that was just the terrible experience, or just not say anything at all, right? Or not do anything to help promote their episode because they didn't like it or whatever, right? So very, very important. And the fourth point here is, I don't have any stats prepared for this, but I know it's really, really big. It's just to don't ignore video. If you're thinking of starting a podcast right now, I would really highly encourage you to think video first and wanting to do video in your podcast. Like for me, I think a podcast, I started, it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to put it on Apple and Spotify or whatever. And then, it'll also be really cool to just, I guess, throw it on YouTube, you know, kind of thinking of video as more of an afterthought, but it is so important. And the discoverability of platforms like YouTube, where people can search in things and find your podcast, is really, really cool. And it's really, really valuable. And, you know, with podcasts coming on Netflix now, and there's even podcasts that are being played in movie theaters of all places, is kind of wild how it's really going more into the mainstream. I think there's a whole lot of opportunity. So if you're not on video, you're kind of wasting opportunities, and not only for just discoverability, but just for creating other content that you can use to repurpose to help you market your podcast, whether that's shorts or what have you. So like I have shorts now that I put on another channel. That's a whole nother topic of conversation as to where you should put your social media content. But, you know, I've gotten tens of thousands of views on those shorts, you know, which helps, you know, people see my face, see my studio and all that kind of stuff, to kind of put that recognition of, you know, my brand out there. So it's really important. Don't ignore video. It's a lot more work, but I think it is worth it. All right. The fifth one, this one is really important to not take personally, is that sometimes there's going to be people that'll accept to be on your show. And if you're a smaller show, they might look at that and be like, oh, well, I'm too good to be on that. Look, okay, I shouldn't say that. I can't say anybody that's canceled has talked in that light or anything like that. But people, they will cancel, and you know that's okay, right? So just don't take it personally. So far, I mean, I've only had one person cancel where they agreed to come on, and then like that day they're like, yeah, I'll reschedule, and then never heard from them again. So getting ghosted. But you know, whatever, right? Like that's fine. If they don't want to be on the show, I'm not going to push or what have you. And that's cool. You know, once we're big and famous, we're the number one podcaster in Canada, they might reach out and say like, hey, is that invitation still good? And then you could decide what to do. So for me, the biggest thing is success is the biggest, you know, not payback, but it's like fuel, right? Oh, you don't want to come on my show? Oh, because, you know, in my mind, oh, you think that I'm not big enough to come on you don't want to come on my show? Just wait till you see how big we're going to get. So anyways, use it as fuel, but just don't take it personally, and just kind of have fun with it. Right. So, number 6. So I talked a little bit about this before in terms of kind of knowing your audience is, and making sure your guest is comfortable. You just want to explain to your guests kind of what it is you want the show to be. And, you know, chances are that if you're contacting them to come on your show, they don't know who you are or what your show is all about. They probably haven't seen your show. So just take a minute to explain it to them. Say like, this is what my show is all about, and this is my audience, and this is the value that my audience is kind of looking for. And then make them understand kind of what it is that you're going to ask and how you kind of want to direct the conversation. So the way that I do it is that I have a custom template that I have written out in Notion. I just cut and paste into my email. And it just explains what the show is all about, who the target audience is, and what are the types of things that I want the audience to learn from each episode. I tailor it a little bit differently depending on the guests and what their expertise are. But that's it, really. So it's a very simple thing, but just make sure that they're kind of aware so that they can help best prepare. For example, there's one person that she's going to be coming on. It's all about understanding your customers and understanding to knowing your audience so that you can have really good product market fit. And the question that she asked me is like, well, what's your audience and what kind of, like where are they in their kind of journey or whatever? And then I told her, and she's like, okay, this is really going to help me frame out the answers that I'm going to give based on the questions that you're going to ask so that your audience can get the best value from it. Right. So it's just really important to kind of just have that little discussion. Number 7, this is a big thing and it's a huge thing. It's something that I still have a whole lot of problems with. I noticed, I just did it right now. I said, and I notice this especially when I'm doing the editing, is like really practice avoiding and eliminating all filler words from your vocabulary. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in terms of sitting in silence. The ums and ahs and the likes, all of that stuff, try to just replace those with nothing. Just have silence. It's just so much better than constantly being and ah and whatever. You don't have to fill every single silence with something. So just try to eliminate that. Because oftentimes for me, if I'm starting a sentence in the podcast with a filler word, I can cut it off. But when it's within the middle of a sentence, and if there's too many of them, I don't like to cut them because then everything looks too choppy and then it looks a little too robotic. So the best thing to do is to try to avoid it if you can. And then it'll also make your editing a whole lot easier as well too. So, and it makes you sound smarter, I guess too, right? Okay, expanding on that one. Number 8, be comfortable in silence. And I kind of put it in brackets here, just shut up and let your guest speak. There's something to be said about asking a question and just seeing where the guest is going to go with that question. And if it ends up going into an emotional spot, I even had this happen just in the last episode where you're seeing that the guest is starting to get emotional, kind of thinking about something about their past or an experience that they've had. Just sit in the silence and let them explore those emotions and let them feel those emotions. You might want to have a tendency to, make them feel comfortable or to get right in there and make them like not feel that emotion, but don't do that. There's my filler word with the again. Just let them sit in it and just listen intently and see where they go. And it can really make for some really good content and some really good connection as well too. So be very comfortable in silence. And expanding a little bit on that is number 9 is really learn and kind of study the art of how to ask better questions. And there's a few books on it. I've been reading some books on it. And I, of course, look at and listen to my favorite podcasters and see how they navigate questions. And oftentimes what I do is when I'm seeing they're going on a conversation with a guest, and then I'll pause it right at the time when the host is about to jump in and ask a question. And I think about what questions that I would ask. And then I compare that to what questions, were actually asked, just to see, how our different minds work or what have you. So can I share that book? Okay, let me look for it. It's going to be in my Amazon order cart or what have you in my my order history. I can't remember offhand what it is. But yeah, I can. It's a really good book. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can bring it up here. Bring up this here for a second. I'll see if I can bring it up now. I think there might be even a couple books. I totally can't remember. Books. Oh, so many orders. I gotta stop ordering stuff from Amazon. Not that one. Keep going back. Past 3 months. I gotta go past 6 months. Let's go all this year. Sorry, bear with me here. Okay. There's this one book. Yeah, this one was a great book. Right here. A More Beautiful Question: The Power of Inquiry to Spark Breakthrough Ideas. This has been a really, really helpful book. So I would definitely recommend grabbing this one. Yeah, I bought this one back in February. So that's a great one. And I'm pretty sure there's another one that I have, but I don't think I got it on Amazon, so I can't remember. But if I do remember, I'll pin it in a comment or something like that, or maybe Kevin, I'll just like email it to you or something like that. But anyways, yeah. So learning how to ask, yeah, it's something about, oh, I can't remember what that book is, but it's like just like almost sitting down and shutting up and just listening. It's almost about listening to the other person and trying to have empathy and put yourself into that person's shoes and try to kind of dig into what it is that they're saying to really get at. Because sometimes people don't come out and say what they want. I don't know. I was going to say maybe it's different if you're talking to a guy or a girl, because girls sometimes maybe aren't as direct as guys might be. But anyways, I don't think I'm going to go there, or maybe I just did. I don't know. Anyways, but when you can learn how to ask better questions and you learn to listen, I think you can really start to dig into tell me a little bit more about that. Or you said something here that was really interesting. Like, why do you think that way? When you can kind of like pry into it, you can dive a little bit more into that person's brain, and you can kind of create those moments of connection. And when the guys, when you're having a conversation, they're looking at you, they're like, oh, I could tell that you're really kind of interested in what I'm saying. It creates those moments and those connections, and it kind of helps the people loosen up in the conversation, which is really good. You really, the more you do, I've done about 20 episodes so far, and you can feel people loosen up as the conversation is going, and you can tell if someone is more apt to be open, and it generally comes with them feeling safe on the other side, that the person's actually kind of listening to. I don't use the word safe, but like the fact that the person's listening to what they're saying, and that they feel that it's going to be okay for them to open up, and they're not going to get like ridiculed or chastised or whatever from the other side, right? So yeah. So, and that being said, I have a big problem with this. Maybe it's because I do these live streams too, where it seems as if you end up kind of the one with the microphone, so to speak, is don't ramble with your questions. Just kind of get straight to the point and ask the question. So I think I've gotten a little bit better with this. But I know that maybe it's because I come from academia, and academics are, oh man, they're notorious for asking the longest questions that have like 5 questions in one question. And by the time they get to the end of the question, you forget what the first question was because it was like a 3-minute long question. And I think because it's just, they love to hear themselves speak, and it sounds smart because I'm saying a lot of stuff and I sound smart. Just ask the question, why did you do this? And let them answer. And that's about asking the question and then getting out of the way, and then asking the follow-up questions from listening. So understand where you want to go with the conversation, ask the question that'll get you on that path to get there, and then follow up. And stop talking. It's not about you, it's about the guest, right? So if you make it about the guest, that's when they're going to open up, and then you're going to have some really great conversations. And following up on that, number 11, just be in the moment. You want to really be attentive to what they're saying. And I had a really big problem about this, probably the first 5 episodes or so, where I was really worried about the tech and the cameras and the audio. Oh, did I press record on the cameras? Did I press record on the audio interface? How do I look? Is everything in frame? I was always kind of thinking of everything that could possibly go wrong during the podcast, where I was having a harder time focusing on the actual person and on the actual questions and the conversations that we were having. So this is easier said than done, but if you can have someone that can help you out, handle all the tech and do all the monitoring, that's perfect. But I know most people don't have that luxury, myself included. So just get yourself into some kind of system where everything is recording and everything is okay. And then you have that backup as well too. In case anything happens, you're not going to be stressing about it. And it'll just allow you to focus on the conversation and be present in that moment, because that's where it takes a lot of brain power to really attentively focus on what the person is saying, so you can dive in and ask those really great follow-up questions. So this is easier said than done, but the more you practice it, the more deliberate you really try to focus, the better you'll be. And that's understanding your tech and then mastering your tech as well too. A lot of people don't like to think about tech when they want to just do a podcast, but when you got a bunch of cameras and video and you want some audio, it can get pretty overwhelming, especially if you're new at it. So the faster you get up to speed on it, the better. And number 12 is a big one because this one has opened up so many business opportunities for me. And I just can start to see how things are going to snowball for me in a good way. It's going to be slow at first, but then it's going to start picking up. But it's just, don't be afraid to reach out to people who you think are out of your league in a sense. Now, it's not to say that I'm going to go out there and ask Joe Rogan or Stephen Bartlett or whatever to come on my podcast. But that being said, if you only have 100 followers, like for me, when I first started, I had 0 subs, right? Or I have like hardly anybody following me on social media, but I'm still going out and reaching out to those people that have 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 subs on their channel. Because I'm not, afraid of going to those guys that are too big. I don't want to go too big, but it's okay to go a little bit bigger than who you are. So, and as an example of what I can give for this is there's Josh Council who came on the show. I can't remember what episode number he was, but he was one of the first dozen or so, I think, on the podcast. And he's the founder of Good Robot. I'm like looking at this brand, like this is a 7-figure, they just put in 7 figures to create this new distillery, probably one of the best known beer companies in all of the East Coast. And they're going kind of across Canada, make some fantastic beer, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy's, he gets paid to go to speaking gigs and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, this guy's not going to come on my podcast. So I messaged him because I'm going to ask anyways, because what's the worst that he can say? He can say no. And then he comes on, we have a great time, such a great dude. We have a great chat. And then he introduced me to a couple other people that have also been on the podcast, but then it got me into the door to being the guest podcast host for the Social East, which was the Canada's biggest marketing conference. And then that has led to even more opportunities from other people that I've met at the conference. And all of these things are snowballing. And that has led me to, I was actually asked to be on somebody else's podcast. So I'm going to do the first time ever I've been asked to be on a podcast. So that's happening. So all of this stuff is happening. And that was just through one person. So you never know what can happen and how people that are good people that are ahead of you are willing to help you pull you up and get you to where you want to be. So don't be afraid to ask for people or ask people that are, that you think are ahead of you, because you never know what can happen. The worst that they can do is say no, but you never know what opportunities it might afford you, So, but again, it also goes back to being really wanting to give back to the people that are on the show. Like for me, for example, I make at least 10 shorts for each episode, and then I give them to the guests and I share it with them. They could use it. And I, again, try to give them the best possible experience so that they want to speak highly of me. And yeah, you never know what can happen. So don't be afraid to do that. So number 13, we're winding down to the last 2 here. Don't compromise on quality. If you have a specific show in mind and you know that you want to have certain type of guests or you want to have certain type of quality in terms of the content that's going to be delivered, don't compromise on that just because you want to fit to a specific schedule. Yes, it's important to get yourself into a schedule, into a routine as quickly as possible. But if there's an episode that, say, you recorded that just doesn't fit your standard, I would not release it. I would just be like, okay, well, I have a standard that I want to get to. I'm going to make sure I adhere to that. Now, if you're just starting out, your standard might be really low, so there might not be any compromise to be had. You're just learning the ropes and you're learning how to podcast as well. Of course, by all means, just throw it out there. However, if, like for me, I film with like 4K cameras and all that kind of stuff, and if there was some issue where all of a sudden one episode, the quality just takes a nosedive and I'm filming, like old school pocket camera, look or whatever, and it's all grainy, I'm not going to do that because it's not what my viewers expect from me. And I have that certain standard of quality, right? So just think about that. Just if you have a certain standard that you want to adhere to, don't release something just for the sake of releasing. And the last lesson so far of what I've learned podcasting is just don't forget why you're doing this, because I don't know if it's like you don't want to burn out. I don't even think that's the right word. It's like if you're going to do this, podcasting takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. But if you enjoy doing it, it's super rewarding. I'm having a blast doing it because it allows me the freedom and the flexibility to have great conversations with people who, like I said, I don't think I would normally be able to sit down and have a conversation with them. But because I'm doing it through a podcast, it gives me that, it just allows me those opportunities. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm always thankful for what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And keeping that in my mind really helps me keep going. And things like burnout or, fatigue or whatever, it doesn't even come into the equation because I just love what I'm doing and I know why I'm doing it. And it gives me everything I need to keep going and to keep doing this. And I know that I'm just getting started and I'm just getting better and better at it and just loving the whole process. So it's really important to just never forget why it is that you started. And I think that goes with pretty much anything in life or in business. Why did you start a business in the first place? If it's just to make money, then you might find yourself hating what you're doing or just really not enjoying it and not being able to put your best foot forward. And business is hard enough as it is, just trying to be successful. And if you don't know why it is that you're in business and you're just kind of spinning your wheels, and you're like, this isn't working, I'm not making money, like you can very easily lead yourself to burnout or to quit or what have you. So understand your why, know why you're doing what you're doing, and yeah, just enjoy the process. All right. So I think that is it. That goes for my 14 things that I've learned after podcasting here for 8 months. Oh, after all that, throat is super dry, of course. All right. So I'm going to end it here because I've gone through my 14 points. And if I had to say what the most important one is, I don't know, definitely in terms of understanding how to ask really good questions, making your guests feel comfortable, getting into those really great insights, and making sure you have audio backup in case of failure. Like those maybe would be the kind of the top 3 things in podcasting, like your communication skills. Yeah, they're super, super key. Communications, comfort with the guest, and then the tech. Make sure that's all on lockdown, and then everything else will be great. So, all right. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about podcasting or whatever, do hit me up. I love the stuff, video podcasting. I love producing them. I've been doing videos and audio stuff for probably over 15 years now. Absolutely love it, but of course, kind of newer in the whole podcasting scene. Absolutely love it. Always love talking about podcasting. So if you have any questions, do hit me up, leave me comments or whatever. I don't know, connect me through YouTube, however that connects. And ask me anything. I'm always happy to chat about podcasting because I just love it so much. All right, Kevin, appreciate you joining. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. Very much appreciated. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. And as always, we'll be back here for a brand new stream on Monday. Until then, have a good one.